Hello, this is Natives Helping Natives. I'm Harry MacArthur. This is Bob Thornton. You lived through it. Now, how'd you learn to live with it? My guest today is just a wonderful friend and just a great person and a businessman and has many stories, and I hope we can get a tenth of his stories out today. And welcome Brendon McCarthy to the show.
Hi, Harry. Nice to be with you both, Bob. Pleasure.
Nice to see you, Brendon.
Thank you. Thank you. So let's start off with you as a child in Hope Sound. And
Gosh, you have to remember that far back. A long time ago. Well, it could have been like 2 weeks ago. I'm still a child at heart,
Yep.
for sure, as you are.
Yep.
We moved here in 1970 from Fort Lauderdale. My parents were down there. My dad was in the school system, Broward County school system, and my mother was a housewife. I have a special needs sister, Kathleen, who's a year younger than me, and so the school system wasn't the best opportunity for Dad. He had 50 years past his master's in education, and he could have been a principal, and he had a good career path going. But my sister, with her needs, and there wasn't a lot of educational programs for special needs kids back then, so they were thinking of ways to how they're going to make more money to help support my sister. So Mom's family was always in the restaurant business, and they were already up in Jensen Beach at a Wayside Inn, which was opened. I think they opened that in 1968, 70, and had that till 82 in Jensen. They found this place on US 1 in Tequesta that was it called? Sandy's. You probably remember that little spot.
Yeah.
It was Sandy's, and they bought that and turned that into the Wayside Inn in 1974. And that was the start of the restaurant business, which eventually turned into the Wayside Inn to Fireside Inn. And then Fireside Inn went to McCarthy's in 1987. And then McCarthy's kind of stuck around until I just sold it a month ago. So, yeah. So that's how I eventually got here to Hope Sound. But growing up here, it's
4 locations.
Yeah, so we had the original, the Wayside, then 2 on Tequesta Drive, then the third one on Tequesta Drive, 1 at the Bluffs, which I think is Uncle Eddie's now, maybe, or whatever. We were the original, in that DeVasta wanted us in there. And in that store, that was 1986. So yeah, 4 or 5 locations total in and around Jupiter from 74 till 2025.
Wow.
Yeah. So Hope Sound was my home. I grew up here, obviously. Used to come get gas here at your restaurant when it was a gas station. When I was a kid.
Pumping gas.
I grew up with all the Myers boys. So we were, the Hope Sound, Barry Myers, Bill, the whole family. Doc, their dad, was my doctor. He took care of a lot of the people on Jupiter Island. And, he did house calls. And that's how old we are when still doctors did house calls. And so I went to Hope Sound Elementary, Murray Middle School, Martin County High School, right through the whole system. My sister was up here as well, and Stewart Middle had a little special needs part of their school there that she was able to go to, and it really helped her develop when she was young. It was a blessing, and that was one of the reasons we moved up here, because of that school, the program they had at Stewart Middle for my sister. And growing up in a restaurant family is you work. I got off the bus, into the car, down to Tequesta, and wash dishes, whatever, 10 years old, 11 years old. My sister and I used to play out back, and some life, but, the stories we had down there, and we can get into some of that if you want, but, Perry Como singing to my sister in the lobby while he's waiting for a table.
Love it.
Was just, I didn't know who he was, but my dad did, and I was a kid. And I'd look over, and my dad just bawling his eyes out because Perry is singing to his special needs daughter Christmas songs. And the whole room, everybody was like, your table's ready. They're like, no, give it to somebody else. Give it to somebody else. We're going to stay here.
Free concert.
Perry Como is singing in the lobby, in your waiting room. And So to this day, my sister, you know, she's kind of, you ever seen the movie Rain Man? She remembers everything. So every song that he sang, she memorized, knows the words. So whenever she hears a Perry Como song, I mean, she knows it verbatim. So it's fun. It was good memories. And, you know, Burt Reynolds and the whole crew from the Smokey and the Bandit days and Part 2 and the theater, they used to all come over. And Carol Burnett was my mom's favorite and got to meet her quite a bit. She was a blast. So much fun. But, yeah, so restaurant, growing up, Hope Sound, celebrities. Gosh, go to Jupiter Island. You want to talk about some Jupiter Island stories?
Tennis. You played a lot of tennis.
Tennis was just because they had courts. I mean, I was baseball, Hope Sound Little League with a lot of the guys that we know today that are still here that come in here to eat at your restaurant. Funny guys. You know, so tennis, there was 2 courts there at the Soundings, and Barry and I just met on the tennis court probably 1975 because we were bored walking around the neighborhood, and we just started playing. And I picked it up really well. Barry was really good. He was a couple years older than me. And then we, with his connection with Jupiter Island, Mr. Presley and Herb Stead and Theron Bass and all those guys, they started calling us to come play when they'd have these weekend tournaments for the members. And I didn't know Alexander Haig and George Bush.
I love it.
Henry Kissinger and all these guys that are over there playing. And Mr. Presley said, all right, boys, now you wear your whites. You got to wear a white shirt, all white. And he said, get over here, be here at 9 o'clock. And Barry and I would pull up, and he'd send us out on the court and watch your mouths. He'd say something like that, no bad words. And okay. And we're out there playing, and I thought it was funny. This is a really quick story, but there's these guys on the court, and they all have sunglasses on. They got this little thing in their ear. So I'm like, man, we got linesmen? I've never played in a match where we have our own linesmen. So I'm playing a shot, and I go to hit it, and I let it go, and I didn't make the call. And I turn around, and I said, well, are you going to call that? And the other guy says, hey, Brendon, those aren't linesmen.
Secret Service.
Secret Service. I didn't know. Oh, I'm like looking at the guy like, well, was it out or? funny stuff. So I was only probably 12 years old, 13 years old, but had a good laugh with that. So,
how about when you came home and told your dad?
Yeah. So came home and dad said, well, where do you guys play in tennis at? I said, we were at Jupiter Island. He says, well, who'd you play with? And I told him, I said, this guy, Mr. Kissinger, Mr. Haig, and Mr. Bush. And there was a guy there, I think he was a president. Richard Nixon was over there. He's like, my dad's like, stop lying. Stop lying to me. I goes, yeah, no, I was. You played tennis with Henry Kissinger and George Bush? Yeah. Well, did you win? I was like, of course.
Of course. Don't play to lose.
Yeah, and so that was just, you know, as I grew older, obviously then I started to realize, wow, okay, I know who those people are and the importance of their jobs. But as a kid, they were just somebody I wanted to beat. I'm like, they're my opponent. I'm going to beat them. I'm not taking it easy on anybody. You know,
I love it.
We're going to win. So that was our mentality. And so riding our bikes up around, going down, you know, Bridge Road and going through the Bible college there when you're kids, you know, we had some stories about probably shouldn't even talk about some of that stuff.
With the mud puddles and splashing them.
Yeah, the mud puddles. And then skiing, you know, we used to water ski a lot.
Yep.
So, so coming up, there was a little cutout right there before the bridge. Right. When it was before the speed zones, there was, you know, no manatee zones, and you could go wide open all the way to Stewart. So we would come in, and they'd have a little hut. I think they're still there. There's a couple little houses and trailers right there. And some of the guys we were with were like, okay, they're a little bit older than me, but then when you come through there, you gotta moon them. You know, they come through, these girls, they'll freak out because, you know, they're long sleeves and they have the dresses.
The dresses, yeah.
So we'd come by and, you know, hey, you know, and then they'd be like, you know, you go by, and then next thing you know, see the Martin County Sheriffs would be up on the old Hope Sound Bridge. Yeah. Because when it was really low, you could raise your engine up and shoot a rooster tail through the bridge. And the water would hit the cars coming through. Yeah. So we got stopped many times. When they saw it was us, they just kind of were like, hey, we're like, just wave you off. Don't do that anymore. And they knew us from other things because we were always getting into minor trouble. Nothing crazy.
And here's what you do. You'd skiing up to the bridge, you'd hook on the one side and you'd come over and bury the edge. And you could spray right through the guardhouse. You know, the bridge tender would get wet. He would be in there.
Oh, yeah, it was low.
And you would go down, and you would look back, and the bridge tender would come out. He'd be yelling at you.
Oh, I know. Yeah, no, Jeff Long. I remember Jeff Long.
Yeah, I remember Jeff Long.
Captain Smoothie was his nickname. And we'd trim up the engine and be going. And then when high tide, I mean, there wasn't a lot of room. Yep. Even in a small boat, you could trim up the engine, and every car would come by, would just whoosh. The sheriff's Tim Coons and some of those old guys that were on the sheriff's department back then. Oh, that's McCarthy and Myers. Just, you guys, knock it off. Get out of here. They'd be yelling at us. But you could get away with that stuff. I mean, I used to drive my car, my dad's car, when I was 13, 14, everywhere. Everywhere. I mean, there were times at the restaurant when he'd had a few beers, like more than a few. And he's stumbling out of there, and that's back before we had computers, so the cash drawers were just drawers. We had a drawer, and there was a cash drawer in it, and there was no adding machine. And people come up and they pay their check, and my dad would be like, all right, what'd you have? We had 2 dinners and 2 teas. All right, $15. So we just make the change. There was no dupes, no record,
no receipts,
no receipts. Cash only. And so at night he'd bring it home. And so remember the Plush Pony Lounge used to be
I remember
right
Plush Pony.
Right next to the wayside.
Yeah.
He'd going out one night and he trips. And the cash drawers go on the parking lot. It's just him and I. And it's windy, so the wind's blowing all the money out into US 1.
Oh no.
And he's like, I'm like, Dad. And now he took a face. I mean, he's bleeding from his face, and he's standing there, and I'm like, Dad, you all right? Don't worry about me. Go get And I'm a kid. So I'm running around and I'm looking at these cars coming down US 1, and I'm grabbing 100s and 20s and I'm putting them in my pocket. And I get back and I called my mom. I said, something, Dad really fell. He's like, well, drive him home. Do you need to go to the hospital? I said, well, no, I don't think so. Well, just drive. You know how to drive. Just drive him home. I was 12, I think, 12 or 13. So we had this big white, red Cadillac Eldorado convertible, kind of like Burt Reynolds' Smokey and the Bandit car. And it was so big I couldn't sit, so I had to go in and get 2 phone books, and I sat on the phone books and drove down US 1 from Tequesta to the Soundings and pulled in the driveway. And my mom comes out, and he's sleeping. He'd already passed out by then, sleeping in the car, blood all down his face. And she's like, everything all right? I said, yeah, I got all the money. She goes, no, your father. Oh, I thought you were talking about the money.
Well, that was his concern, right?
That was his. I said he was worried about it, but I got it all. There's nothing. I didn't miss any.
It's so funny because it was different times.
My
dad, we'd go down fishing. He'd take his old station wagon, and we'd go down, and I was 12, 13 years old.
Yeah.
And he'd have his cooler with his Budweiser. Always had to be Budweiser. And at the end of fishing, he'd say, I probably think it's best if you drive us home tonight.
Yeah.
And you didn't think about it. I just told Nick this story today. We went up to pick up one of the trucks for work, and I had keys duplicated at 14. My parents went away, and my dad left the station wagon keys, and I had keys duplicated. So every time they would go away, I was the neighborhood taxi, and I would make money.
Yeah.
But it wasn't uncommon.
No. And I mean, there's other stories. I'm driving home, and Martin County Sheriff pulls up next to me, and I'm right around Jonathan Dickinson entrance, whatever. And he looks over, and he's going, sees me. I'm a kid. And there's dad in the car, and he's like, so I pulled over. He goes, what's going on? Where are you going? Not license or anything. He goes, what's going on? Where are you going? I said, my dad, wasn't feeling good. We have the restaurant Wayside in there. I'm just driving home to Hope Sound. He goes, how old are you? I said, 13. And he said,
perfectly normal.
Normal. I mean, so it was probably 76, 77. And I go, yeah, no, I'm good. I said, he goes, follow me. He gets in front, and he just says, follow me. So he took Daddy, where do you live? I said, we're in the Soundings on the dry side back then before we moved over to the other side. I go, all right. So he basically gave me guided to her home, and nobody got near me. And I was fine. And so we got home. You did a really good job driving. Dad should be proud of you. I said, thank you. No, I got it. I've been driving for like 3 years.
Just what he wanted to hear.
I learned to drive stick when I was 10 in the parking lot, so I could drive anything. And it wasn't even an issue. It was just like, yeah, I got it. I don't need you to chauffeur me home, but thank you for the ride. But, it was common. And there were other stories, but oh my gosh, Sundays, remember you couldn't buy beer before 1 o'clock?
No, 1 o'clock, yeah.
So there was a little convenience store up here just about a mile north of here on the left. You know the one?
Little shopper.
Yeah, little shopper.
Yeah.
And it was a Sunday morning, and all my dad's friends and parents' friends were at the house, and they had the boat loaded up and realized they didn't have any beer. So Dad says to me, well, we'll just go without it. I said, well, what do you need? He goes, well, we want like 3 cases of Heineken. I said, well, give me some money. I'll go get it. And it's like 10 in the morning on a Sunday. And he goes, what? And I think I was 14. I was a little bit older. So then 13. Maybe, 14, maybe 15. And he says, and they all pitched in, they gave me like $100. And I said, 3 cases of Heineken. Okay. I'll be right back. My dad's like, yeah, I got to see this. Didn't know. So they're all laughing. So I literally 10 minutes, I drive up, pull up to the back, and I knocked on the door, and I forget the guy's name, but they were husband and wife families. I'm not going to do the accent because that wouldn't be appropriate, but very, very friendly, fun people. Like, Brendon, nice to see you. What's going on? I said, I know it's early, but I've got some cash. I said, we're going out in the boat, family, and everybody's there. Can we get some beer? He's like, sure. What do you want? I said, 3 cases of Heineken. Takes them out. I pop the trunk. He puts them in the trunk for me. I give him the money. He gives me the change in my pocket, drive back down to Bridge Road.
And you drove down.
Drove down Bridge Road, turned left on Gomez, pulled in the house. I walked in. I go, here you go. And they were all like, every one of them's jaws like, my dad's like, I don't even want to know, but thank you. We're off. And he says, where's the change? I said, no, there wasn't any change.
There you go. Entrepreneur from early on.
That was your fee. So, I mean, that was normal. I mean, it was.
Well, the drinking age then was 18.
It was 18. Yeah, it was 18. I looked older, honestly.
And I didn't, but same. I'd start on a Monday after school, and I'd go into the liquor store, and I would buy a 6-pack of soda. I'd walk in, I'd say, work day tomorrow, no booze tonight. And every day I'd go in Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and I'd walk in on Friday. They go, you going to get a 6-pack of soda? I go, nope, no work tomorrow. Give me a case of Schlitz, because my dad drank Bud. So, and I looked like I was about 12, and they'd get me a case. But it was different times.
It just was. It wasn't like, I mean, I don't know. Why was it different? It shouldn't be any different than it is now. I guess it's just there's so much more. I don't know. I've always thought about this a lot. Like, why is it different? Why is it because, I mean, families did so much together. I mean, there was so much, we did everything together. It wasn't like, and I don't want to say social media. I don't want to say cell phones. I don't want to say instant information, but that's probably why, because there's so much news and instant information now. But back then it was just, we weren't doing anything. What was the worst thing we did? Crank calls, crank telephone calls. You'd hang out with your friends and maybe throw sea grapes at cars or something when they run by. I mean, I was trying to think of
ring doorbells, right?
Yeah.
It was all instant. It was fun, splashing with your water ski. It wasn't
doing
you
that.
weren't out trying to kill anyone,
right? It wasn't. Yeah, it's just it was a different form of kids being kids and not really doing anything to hurt anybody. And did we drink when we were underage? Yeah, I mean, but we were with our parents. Usually we were with our parents or friends somewhere, but I don't remember anybody ever, drinking to the point where, and there's some people that couldn't drive, but we probably did sometimes when we shouldn't have too. But I don't ever remember being like that crazy where it was out of control, and it was just good fun. It's hard to pinpoint the difference now, but you just hear about so many more bad things now. Yeah, I guess it's because it's instant news, everything.
And I do think that it's a big part of it. What you said, you don't want to say that it's because of our cell phones. It's because of our computers. But honestly, there's so much news out there. And I have an
So much
opportunity
bad
to
news.
work with a lot of young people teaching leadership to PAL and different groups. And I say to the kids, I hold up my phone and I say, we grew up on the outside of this screen with people watching how we lived. And I said, you guys are watching the screen, watching people live and thinking you're getting that experience, and you're not.
Right.
And there is so much information. I think everyone is angry all the time.
Yeah, for sure. That's a great angle. That's a great angle of it, because you're right. Everybody's angry, or there's so much false information too.
Yes.
And people are, my kids are 31 and 28 now, and they didn't have cell phones till they were a little bit older, but just everything they do now, they get or see, or restaurants they want to go to, they look it up or they Google it, or, and I kind of do some of that now too. Whereas we would just go and try it. You go word of mouth. Oh, let's just go. We heard about this place. We heard about that place. And, I guess I hung around with a lot of good people too. We weren't hoodlums. We weren't bad guys. We were mischievous. We did a lot of stuff, but it was fun. I don't remember even my friends today are still my best friends from high school. And my core group of people that we hung out with, and one's my accountant, one's my attorney, Scott, who you've met, is still one of my best friends, and John, another guy. We're all living in different parts of the world except for Scott, but that's my core group of friends. And, people have come and gone, friends from college, but if they weren't nice people or they didn't have good intentions, we didn't hang out. I didn't want to be around people that were negative or didn't have my family or myself best interests at heart. And I think that's the Hobe Sound. Growing up where we did, when we did, it made us all do stuff together. I mean, we used to walk everywhere up and down Bridge Road.
And we handled things, because we're talking about the bridge. Well, we had one certain bridge tender, and let's just say that he was a little different, and he would stand out there on the bridge, and he would stand in a leopard skin bikini, Speedo. And he'd wave to all the boys and everybody there, and he'd want to talk to everybody fishing or anything else. Well, we just worked on it. And, finally one night, he was called out and said the lights were off on the bridge. And so he comes out, and so he goes to lean over the bridge to look, and then he got thrown off the bridge.
Oh, geez.
And then, of course, I hear he was screaming and everything down there. And then he got out. And then so he still didn't get the message that time. And then so a couple weeks later, he's still doing the same thing. So a month later, he got called out, and the lights were on again. And guess what? He got thrown off again. And that's the last we saw him, because you didn't want him around us.
Yeah.
You just didn't feel comfortable with him. And so you found a way to get rid of him.
Something was off.
Yep.
Literally.
And that's what you handled it that way.
Oh, goodness. Yeah, for sure.
Now let's take, like from high school there and finish up there into
high school. So right after high school, Scott had his accident. We were both, I was a freshman. No, Scott was a freshman, just starting his sophomore year at FSU. Was playing football there.
Scott Burrows.
Yeah. Walked on, was playing football, best shape of his life. And, we had just opened up another restaurant like in August of 83. So Scott's accident was November of 84. So that first year, I think I went to Palm Beach Junior. So I was going to Palm Beach Junior, working at the restaurant. I wanted to be at Florida. I ended up going there the next year. So I took a year off to help my parents with I worked in the kitchen at that first restaurant on, it was Lighthouse Plaza, right next to the Scrounge Lounge and Lighthouse Movie Theater, and we used to have Winn-Dixie and Grant's in there.
Yes.
And a lot of crazy stuff happened at that Lighthouse Lounge, man. Let me tell you, that was
Scrounge Lounge.
Scrounge.
I got to figure the Scrounge must have been special.
Yeah.
Scrounge Lounge. Quick little story about that. So our ice machine's down one night. I was 18, so I go over. My dad says, "Run over next door. Go and ask Pete, one of the bartenders, if you can borrow some ice." So I literally, the back door, nobody answered. So I walked around the front. I opened the door, and as I opened the door, like within a millisecond, there's a white flash coming at me. And I literally, as I'm opening the door and I go, it's kind of like, what was the movie? The Matrix? Kind of like one of these things. And the door opens and it was a cue ball that somebody had thrown at somebody and they missed it. And it's coming out the door. It literally goes right by my ear. And I look in and there's a huge fight. There's probably 5 guys going at it. And I just shut the door and went back. And it was this close. I mean, I was as fast as I could open it up the door. And I was like, yeah, no.
We're not getting ice.
No ice tonight. We'll go somewhere. I ran down to Winn-Dixie and got like 10 bags or whatever. But that place, so I was there for a year. Scott had his accident a year later. Learning the business, deciding, I definitely don't want to be in the restaurant business. Although I had already been in it 8-9 years at that point. But as you know, you do what your parents tell you, but when you get to be 18 and you start to think for yourself a little bit and what am I going to do? And that wasn't what I wanted. I'm in this hot kitchen at 18 and all my friends are in college and working and doing other things. And I was like, I'm missing out. I'm feeling like I'm really missing out. And I wasn't. I was learning some great life lessons, but I didn't know it at the time. And so put in a year there and then transferred up to Florida. And right when I was up to Florida, that's when Scott had his accident. So, we were all up there. Do you want me to talk about that a little bit? That little moment of we just talked about it earlier. But
yes.
So that morning I get a call. My grandfather had passed away November 3rd, 84. And tough day. So all the family was down here in Hobe Sound. And then that night, one of my friends calls and says, hey, Scott, you're sitting down. He goes, Scott had an accident. Doesn't look good. He might not make it through the night. And I'm like, listen, don't mess with me today. This is not a good day. I've had a really bad day. He goes, no, I'm totally serious, Brendon. So tough day. A couple days go by. We have the funeral for my grandfather. And I go up to see Scott, who was in Panama City. And so all of us, a group of friends, there was 5 or 6 of us, we made the drive up there. And we were doing, as we do with Scott, it was always fun and light and laughter. And I didn't know what to expect. None of us did when we walked in that room. And he's laying in there with 2, steel pins in the side of his head and a weight holding his head still. And he's laying on this bed and he's just looking up at the ceiling. And he can't really look side to side. And his dad was there. And we walked in, like, Mr. Burroughs, and he was, hey guys, and it was kind of somber. And I was like, well, that's not really what we need. I said, we don't need somber. We need kind of, not that we're making light of the situation, but all of us were not somber friends. We were 19 years old and fun. And so we were like, Scott, and he's like, oh, and he was really, really glad to hear us and see us, and his girlfriend was there, and so we were all just in the room and making jokes and having fun and trying not to really accept and talk about what had happened, just trying to make him feel good. And so next day we're in there, we leave, we get a hotel. There was like 8 of us staying in this one hotel room because that's all we could afford. It was like pitch in, and we didn't have much. We didn't have any money, and
that was $50 a night.
Probably, probably, and it was right next to the hospital. So came back the next day, and Scott's in the bed again, and he's like, "Man, where you guys been?" I'm like, "Literally, we've only been gone a few hours. We're back here." He's like, "Just don't leave. Stay here with me." And his dad had to go back to work. He was the superintendent at Turtle Creek Golf Club in Tequesta, so he had to get back, but he says, I'm going to come back in a few days. Can you guys stay? So, of course, we did. And so Scott's laying there. Just picture this, laying on the bed, looking straight up at the ceiling. So we got this idea, like, we need to give him something to look at. So we went and got a Playboy. And Suzanne Summers was the actual centerfold that month or whatever. So we cut it out and we pinned it right above him. So he's laying there and he's like, oh, this is great. This is great. And he's, oh, thank you guys. And we're like, yeah, sure. What else do you want? And he's like, I don't know. You got any lollipops or anything? My mouth's really dry. We're like, yeah, we'll go. So we went down, got him. He's like, oh, this is great. Because he had severe cotton mouth for whatever reason. And his hands were kind of strapped around him. So he really couldn't move. So we're, take turns, give him a lollipop. He's, oh, this is the best thing ever. And I mean, you think about it now.
Oh yeah.
And he's just, so what are you guys doing? Where are we going? Like, he's like, where are we going tonight?
Oh, God bless him.
And I'm like, well, where do you want to go? Anywhere but here. I go, well, if we can wheel you out, we'll take you, and he's like, so the nurse came in and we're like, can we wheel him somewhere? And she looked at us like we were from Mars. Serious?
And you were.
We were. We're like, well, this isn't much fun. He wants to get out of here. This is depressing.
Depressing.
We're all in, there's 5 or 6 guys, and Kristen was in there, the girlfriend. And so she goes, I need you all to leave the room right now. And we're like, why? She goes, we have to do something for Scott, and you don't need to be in here. Like, no, we're good. He's our best friend. We've seen him naked. No problem. Okay. So she lifts up and she grabs this catheter.
Oh, I'll be outside.
And we all went, oh, running out the door. Why didn't we see that? Oh, for the love of God, we did not see that. Did not need to see that. And Scott's like, what are you talking about? Like, you can't feel it? He goes, I can't feel anything from the chest down. I'm numb. I'm paralyzed. And we're like, oh, thank God you can't feel it, because you don't want to know.
Because you all did, didn't you?
Yeah, we did. You don't want to know what she's doing right now. And he can't look as he's looking up. And we're like, well, what is she doing? No. We came back in. We're like, you all right? And he's like, yeah, why? And we're like, it was one of the worst things. I still can see it in my mind. I hope I never get that. Yeah. So, that went on. So she's there and she's cleaning him and they're bathing him, and he's just sitting there and he's like, oh, and he's making these like really fun, like kind of moaning sounds. And they're like, can you feel that? The nurse didn't think she could feel it. And they were sponging him and washing him. And he goes, yeah. And he's looking at the picture. And she's washing him and he's like, oh yeah, that feels great. He's like, feels great. She says, you can't feel that, can you? He goes, no, but I'm just imagining what it would feel like, because Suzanne right now is the best thing that's going on. And she goes, who's Suzanne? And then the nurse looks up and she got so mad. She was this older nurse. Where did that come from? Who put that up there? We're like, it was here.
Doctor's orders.
No, we go,
doctor's orders.
It was here when we got here. That's what we took. She's like, oh no. She goes and grabs this thing and rips it down. And Scott's like, no. That's all I have to look forward to every day. And when you see him, you got to ask him about that, because it's still one of the funniest things. So the next day we went and got another one, and we put it up and went up for 3 or 4 more days before anybody saw it, and he was so happy. But just something to lighten the load of that terrible situation that he was in. And good gosh, anybody else, I don't know, as strong as he was mentally, physically as well. I mean, at the time, I think he was the middle of practice, so he was in the best shape of his life. I mean, he was probably 200 pounds and just phenomenal shape. I mean, the guy is the toughest guy before the accident and after that I've ever met. #1 light heavyweight kickboxer in the country that at that time. Karate, you could not hurt him. Anything you did, he was just so tough. I used to spar with him, and he was sparring, and he was way quicker and tougher than me. And I'm like, listen, I'm just going to spar. When I see that look in your eye, I'm done. So he would only go so far, and he's hitting my gloves, and I can see him. He's like, I'm like, don't do it. I'm dodging him. And then all of a sudden he'd sneak in like a roundhouse kick and kick me in the back of the head. I'm like, okay, I'm done.
That's it.
I'm done. Because I could see him getting that competitive fire. And oh my gosh, he could kick a golf ball off the top of your head just standing there. Crazy stuff.
Wow.
But another friend growing up, crazy Hope Sound, Stewart stories, and I wouldn't change any of that place. I had the best place to grow up, and I'm still never change it for the world. I played Little League baseball here. My son, when we lived here, got to play on the same 2 fields over here that I did, and I helped coach, and it's great memories. I wouldn't change a thing. My daughter played little t-ball here, and it's fun, and it's great memories, and so many people have come and gone, that we lose. It's life, but the memories, the kids that I played with that are still around, and they're all adults now. We have kids. And
remember the story about my dad when I played baseball? I played Little League, and my dad, he wanted me home at 8 o'clock.
Yeah.
And so if the game was going longer, he'd get in a car, and he'd go around the circle. We were at the circle then.
Zeus Park.
And so he would drive around the circle. And so then he'd hit the horn a couple times and he'd scream, Harry, get off the field, strengthen the team. And that was mean, get your ass home.
Right.
So this inning's over. You better be pedaling. That was it.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
Yes.
He
So
thought
Brendon,
he was so funny.
Yeah.
you were going to school.
Yep.
You didn't want to get into the restaurant business.
No.
So what happened?
So I go to school. I go to Florida, transferred to University of Florida. I'm up there for 3 years. Just starting my last year, we had just opened another restaurant at the Bluffs that I had talked about earlier. So December of 86, getting ready, January would have started my last year at Florida. And December of 86, it was like Christmas, the day before Christmas, we opened at Bluffs, and it was a huge restaurant. We were doing 600, 700 covers a night, super busy. And we had the restaurant in Tequesta, so we have two at the same time. So Dad was running the one in Tequesta, and Mom and her brother, my uncle, were down at the Bluffs, and great staff at both places. But it was almost, you still needed more, and it was kind of understaffed, and they were both stressed for 7 days a week. So a week after opening that, my dad has a heart attack, literally New Year's Day or the next day of 87. Now, I had just gone back to Florida. I was down for the opening. Literally, I think I was back in my apartment 2 days. My mom calls and says, okay, your dad's okay. He had a heart attack. He's going to have quadruple bypass, all this stuff. And I was like, oh, okay. So do you need me to do anything? And she goes, yes, I need you here. You need to drop out. I need you. School's going to have to wait. We've got these two restaurants. Your dad's here. He says, we need you. He says, I'm sorry, but, and I didn't even think anything of it at the time. I was like, I literally packed that night. I think I left first thing in the morning, left all the rest of my stuff in my apartment.
Wow.
I drove home, first thing in the morning. I went right to work that next day. I worked 4.5 months straight without a day off, because think about the time of year it was.
Yeah, it was
January.
It was cranking.
January 3rd, 87. And I don't think I got a day off. Not that I wanted them, but it wasn't, the opportunity wasn't there till April.
Wow.
And I was in the kitchen at the Bluffs restaurant. It was so busy. And we were doing lunch and dinner there. So I was going in at 8 in the morning, leaving at 11 at night, go home, shower, sleep, just go do it. And we got through it. And my dad obviously I did well and recovered. And, but family calls, and it wasn't even a thought. So I never, ever went back to Gainesville. I never got my degree. I, not reluctantly, I mean, as it turned out, the restaurant life was what I was predetermined, I guess, for, and the way it just kind of happened. But,
what were your aspirations in school? Like as you were going, where
so
were you
I wanted to
thinking?
be in communications. I wanted to do TV, radio, something, sports broadcasting. I wanted to be one of those guys on TV calling the games, and
Gotcha.
That's what I wanted to do. Advertising, something like, anything in PR and communications. And I still, to this day, I if an opportunity came up for that, to do that, I would do it in a heartbeat. Even calling games on a high school level, I would love to go. And I talked to AD up at Martin County, doing games or things like that. And they do have WSTU. I don't know if that's still a thing up in Stewart, but the local radio stations were fun. It doesn't pay anything, but at this point, it wouldn't be about that. It would just be about, doing that would be fun. But that's what I always wanted to do. And that was 1987, and almost 40 years later, and I just finished the restaurant. So done with that a month ago. So
it was two restaurants when you started.
Yeah. So it was two. Well, one, we had sold the first one, the Wayside on US 1.
Right.
We had that from 74 to 81, and then sold that to Jack Baker's Lobster Shanty. Mm-hmm. And then there's no restaurant for about a year. They opened the one in Tequesta in the Lighthouse Plaza next to the Scrounge Lounge in 83 to 95. And then we opened the Bluffs. We only had the Bluffs for 2 years. It was a money pit. It was the rent and the cams. DeVosta had hit a lot of stuff. Oh, sorry. Sorry, Buzz.
Don't be sorry to say something about DeVosta.
Sorry, Buzz, but he loved our restaurants and he loved my mother, but there was a lot of hidden, the little place in Lighthouse Plaza doing 200 dinners a night made 3 times the money than that big giant place down there because we had triple the employees, triple the cost, the overhead, and DeVosta told my mom, "Oh no, there's no." Anyway, when they got the first couple of cams and realized there was $4,000 or $5,000 hidden in there,
hidden hooks.
So that was the thing. So she immediately started putting feelers out there to sell it. She's like, "There's no way we are going to work this hard for this many people doing this and making less than that little place down there." So luckily sold it to a guy from Canada, and he turned it into something. I forget what he called it. So we had to sell. Oh, we kept it Fireside, actually. So we had to change the name because they were both Fireside to McCarthy's. That's when McCarthy's became McCarthy's in 87. And we just went back to the one restaurant and had that till 95 until DeVosta bought that shopping center. And it's now Tequesta Oaks. All those units in there.
He was trying to come back after you for more rent.
Yeah. So, we weren't leaving. We still had, if I remember, 3 or 4 years left on that lease. So he, smart that he was, we said, build it around us. Knock everything else down. Leave the restaurant. We're in a shopping center. You can build all your townhomes around it. And he was like, no. So he says, well, what if I build you, which is the building that's there now, on Tequesta Drive? He says, this is July. He said, my dad said, we need to be open by Thanksgiving. If you're going to do that, you need to build us a restaurant. So
4 months.
He literally, by the time we signed the deal, it was 2 months when they broke ground. And we broke ground 2 months from the time they did the first clearing till we opened the door.
Wow.
And that's that same building that's there. And he said he could do it, and he did it.
And did he still have to honor the terms of the old lease?
No, because that was we let him out of that, but we had to do, we worked out a special deal. So we owned the land that he built the restaurant on, that little portion of land. So we owned the building and the land, and we paid it off in a year and a half.
Excellent. So
we had it for 10 years, but we owned it after a year and a half.
Nice.
So that was the negotiating part my dad was really good at. And DeVosta didn't like it, but he really didn't have a choice. So
he's done okay.
Yeah, he's done okay. Yeah, he's done okay. So that whole thing worked out, and that was a great restaurant. We just didn't have parking, and that's still an issue down there. Whoever has it now, there's no parking.
No parking.
And where I was for the last 10 years, we had 1,000 spots at that shopping center at the County Line Plaza. So worked out great. We took 10 years off after that. We sold that in 2005. So we were there 95 to 2005. And my parents retired. I moved to Charlotte with my wife and 2 young kids then, and nothing to do with the restaurant. I got into the golf business and was a rep for Callaway and worked for some buddies at Edwin Watts Golf, just changing grips and being very happy. And then
not being in the hot kitchen under pressure.
Just totally. But again, what happened in 2008 and 2009? Things kind of went south with real estate.
I remember that.
So, yeah, things were great when I moved up there. We bought a house. The insurance was low. Everything was great. Your CDs were getting great interest. And all of a sudden, all that investment went south, as we all remember. So I got bored quickly, and then our value of everything was, I said, well, I need to get back to Tequesta. And that's how we came back, and I found this place, and that was it, 2015.
Wow.
Yeah, so. But 10 years out of the restaurant business was good for me, mentally and physically.
Yeah.
But I missed it, actually, honestly. I missed the customers, and we had a great customer base. I mean, all the celebrities and the regulars and people that come in there that love the old place, and even just telling them that I've sold this one, it was tough. Some of the guys, and I'm like, well, you can still go in there, but
it's not.
Well,
It's not the same. It's the bartenders, it's the servers, it's the guys that are bussing.
Exactly. If Harry sold and somebody else was in here, and it's still Harry and the natives, but Harry's not here, it's not going to be the same because it's that presence. And I'm not saying that was my thing, but if I ever took a night off in the last 10 years and somebody came in, oh, we were there, and it's all the same crew, same people.
Same.
We were. It wasn't the same. I'm like, what do you mean it wasn't? Well, you weren't there, and it just. I'm like, how was the food? Well, I'm like, it was fine, wasn't it? And everybody's like, everybody just whenever you're not here, they're like, oh, everybody complains. I'm like, the place still runs, but it's a presence. It's
the Dixie Cafe right up the street.
Yeah.
Terry, the owner, would sit out and smoke a cigar out in front, and guys had come in, and it was old cronies. Well, my granddaughter grew up going there. I would bring her in there every Saturday, I think, or whatever day it was.
Yeah.
Well, when Terry sold, he had Parkinson's, and it became too much for him.
Yep.
My granddaughter will not go to that restaurant. She if I said let's go, she says, "Are you a traitor? Are you a traitor?" She's 18 years old.
I know it should still be good. If you have the same nuts and bolts, just the man out front, but the same cooks and the same bartenders and bussers and servers, and they're all still there even now, but they're like, oh, it wasn't the same. Oh, what was wrong? Well, it just didn't taste the same. What do you mean it didn't taste the same?
Yeah.
Well, Harry can relate. He knows if he ever takes a day off and he's not here, people come in, oh, well, we were there and place was in shambles.
Yeah.
What do you mean it was in shambles? We had a great night. Everybody, it was good.
Yeah.
It's that presence. They want to see you. They want to hear you.
Yeah.
To know that you're watching everything.
But there's a certain something that you obviously have, and it showed with Scott when you guys went there.
Yeah.
You have, when anything happens, you have two ways to handle it. Either you let it suck you down, or you put on a false bravado and say, we're going to make the best of this. Because the last thing he needed was you guys in there feeling sorry for him. And when you're in your restaurant, you bring that same light. You may not realize it, but you lift your whole crew up. So if you're not there, even if it is the same people, it's not. It's why does that meal at Thanksgiving taste better than any meal you can get in a restaurant? Because it's made with love, family, feeling, emotion. I don't know. Somehow it gets sprinkled in there.
No, I don't disagree with you, and that's the pressure, the curse, whatever you want to call it. We deserve a day off once in a while, and if there's something that comes up, all you do is hear about it when you come back, and you ask everybody, like the manager, whoever you had covering for you, Brendon, everything was fine, it was great.
Yeah.
And I said, I already know this, but I still have to listen to it. And I go, well, I had to go see my mom, and you were seeing your mother. Well, I guess it's okay. You had a night off, and I wasn't seeing my mother. No. I was out, at a concert or doing something fun that I never did or do. But if I told him that, wait, you went to a concert? You left your business?
How dare you?
Yeah. So I would say something like, oh, yeah, my mom wasn't feeling, well, then it's okay. The stuff we have to say. And I had a big sign I used to tell the staff, when, we all have problems in life. We all have, moms are sick, or dad or grandparents or kids. Everybody's got a problem. So when you come into work, when you walk in that back door, you got to leave all your problems and all that stress out. It's easier said than done some days. But I said, when people are coming out to eat at Harry's or my restaurant, they come in, they're looking for an experience. They want to eat, they want to laugh. Maybe they don't. Maybe they just want to eat and get out. Some people are just, in a hurry. But you can't give them your negativity when they're coming to have a good time. At any restaurant, you shouldn't do it. And that was my biggest thing with my staff. I've got stuff that bothers me, but when I walk in the door, everybody's, hey, how's it going? Harry knows this as well as anybody. And it's a show. It's a show. You're on stage.
Exactly.
And you've got to make their experience the best that it is that you can do within that hour and a half that you have them. And when they leave, they go, oh, that was great. That was so fun. We have so much fun when we come here. Food's always good. The entertainment, even if there isn't entertainment, he's the entertainment. and I, not to his level, but always try to say hello to everybody when they come in. At some point, you do the best you can. And do the best you can, but don't bring your troubles to work. And that was my motto. And some days it worked, and some days I'd have to go over to somebody and go, I know you don't feel like it, but
That's why you were missed when you weren't there, because most people don't realize that. Before I walk in at one of my stores, if I'm on the phone, there's problems up north, and I'm dealing with my parents' estate, which really sounds really impressive, but they owned a house. But and you're fighting with someone, and you hang up the phone, and then I have to sit in my truck for a minute and go, those kids in there are expecting a show, right? They're expecting, they're already getting beat up. Somebody didn't get something went wrong. So I have to say, when I walk in there, I don't have any problems. I'm happy to see you. I appreciate what you do.
It's so true.
But most people never really realize that.
And as a business owner and a boss, you have to be that person. You have to be the lead. You're the quarterback. You have to set the tone. And you're right. They are getting beat. If somebody comes, oh, my soup was too hot. Wait, what? Well, hold on. I'll go get some ice. Here you go. Well, it shouldn't be that hot. And I like, these are the kind of things. And then the servers are coming back, and now they're all upset. I'm like, really? Think about it. It's an easy fix. Bring them some ice. Don't worry. I know, but it's so ridiculous. I go, I know. Well, just smile. Smile. It's okay. It's not a hard job. I said, if you just smile and are polite and act like you want to be there, you are golden. You're going to make 20% instead of 10% or whatever, 15%. If you just get it, it's so simple. Smile, be polite, and act like you want to be here. Have you been in a restaurant, you walk in, and the server comes up and goes, hey, what can I get you? That's their opening line. They've already lost you. And they'd already lost me. Instead of saying, hi, welcome to Harry and the Natives. My name's Tina. Here's our specials tonight. What can I get you to drink? That whole 3-second spiel just set the tone for the whole night. And if you've got a server, man or woman, that comes up and has no enthusiasm, acts like, they don't want to be there, okay, well, it's going to reflect in their tip, and it's going to reflect on the ownership, because he's not setting that pace. And in any business, that is your business, any of them, you've got to set the tone, especially when you're dealing with hungry people. And usually it's hungry people are hangry when they walk in the door a lot of times. So I'm like, right away, get them some bread. Just get them some bread. You're going to see a different tone. If somebody comes in, get them as fast as you can. And you'd see a change in somebody. They come in and, oh, they're so cranky. Hey, how's it going? Table for two. Sure. How you doing today? There's nothing. So right away, I know these people are either upset with something that's happened outside. I go get them some bread, water, right away, do it myself. And now come back later like, yeah, it's good. Boy, really nice in here today. You just see the whole change when you got a little food in them.
Yeah. And
they're hungry. They're not yourself. Get them a Snickers. It's like the commercial. You're not yourself when you're hungry.
Yeah. But and especially, Brendon, in your and Harry's industry, it's called the hospitality. So sometimes when I come in and it's either a server or a bartender, and they're most miserable human beings in the world, and I'm like, to myself, I'm like, you're not going to, if you have to be here, put mask on, mask off, put your mask on, put the smiley mask on, and be upbeat, and guess what'll happen? You'll be in a better mood because you'll make a lot more money.
Yeah. Nick Saban, who I've gotten to know the last year, he and his wife, Miss T, Alabama football coach, one of the most successful college football coaches of all time. And he is a great motivational speaker. I've seen some of the way he handles a lot of those kids, those egomaniac athletes that all think they're the best. And I saw him say it during a speech once, and he said, if you're going to do something, be great at it. Don't do it half-ass. Why go through the motions? Be great. I use that all the time with the server. If you're going to a table, you're going to be a server, you're going to be a busser, don't just come in and, why waste your time? Why waste my time? Be great. And I've used that so many times. And the people that get it make 3 times as much money as the people that don't. And the people that don't, I don't want them around.
No.
They kind of weed themselves out, because people come in and ask for a certain person because they know she makes our night special, or he makes our night special. It's hospitality. Like you said, you're taking care of somebody that's spending their money in your business. I don't pay you. The customers pay you. I'm writing your check, but if we don't have the customers, you're not going to make any money. And sometimes they forget that.
And that is the biggest thing. I go through my day, and as an owner, you guys both know, people aren't coming up to you and telling you everything that went right. What do we get to hear? Everything that went wrong. So if I go out and I want to have something to eat, I want to have a drink, I've already had my ass kicked all day. I don't want the server to kick my ass on top of it.
Precisely. And that goes back to the point where you don't know what everybody's been through that day. Everybody has problems. Everybody's got something going on. And just be kind, be nice, smile. That's it. Even if, fake it till you make it sometimes. I know you've had a tough day, but you know what? Suck it up. And you're here for 4 hours. Just, be great while you're here. And then you go home and be miserable.
Yep.
But the problems are still going to be there. I'm here for you if you need anything. I've helped out so many people over the years. My parents were so generous and benevolent. And I hear stories since my mom passed about some of the servers that, were pregnant and went in the hospital and had their kids, and they didn't have any money because they're out of work. And mom's in the first person to come visit them. And what do you need? And she's like, well, I don't know. What do you need? Do you need money? Do you need food? What do you need? And she said, nobody ever did that for them, some of them. So, there'd be an envelope, there'd be something to get them through those 3 months or 4 months back then before, I heard about this after the fact. I never knew she did that. So just great stuff.
And she wasn't doing it for a plaque, a trophy, or a headline.
No.
That's awesome.
Heard about that.
How did you cross paths with Nick Saban?
So just as a customer, he's just started when he moved here and bought the house. The gentleman that was redoing his house was a good friend of mine in construction, and he brought him in, and they love it. I mean, he's in there 3-4 nights a week, and we became friends just through that and exchanged numbers. So they would call me, hey, we're coming over tonight with 4 people. Can we get your booth in the corner? I'm like, of course. Yeah, no problem. I said, you're going to have to kick Bill Parcells out first because he's going to be in there in front of you. Oh, he is. Well, we'll come early, and then we'll rush him out. So they would come in. He's sitting there eating his dessert, and they'd just sit in his table with him. And it was funny.
Love it.
It's great stuff. And they were good friends, obviously, too. But just the people that as Harry as well, Nick Price, and friends of ours that are just solid people. And they put their shoes on just like we do and just enjoy good service and nice people. They want to be around people that are not negative. I think I find that more getting older. I just no drama, no negativity, just positivity is what we need and what we thrive on.
Well, you had a lot more than just Parcells and Nick.
Geez.
Greasy and
the golfers, a lot of the PGA guys.
All the PGA
guys. We have so many PGA guys down here.
Yeah. And, nobody bothers. That's kind of like Jupiter, I think, as a whole. Nobody really bothers those guys. And when they come in, maybe somebody might say, hey, how's it going? Or get a quick pick, and that's it. But you don't see a lot of people were coming in for autographs. But if the few people that did, they never seemed to mind. I mean, it kind of goes with the territory, I think, when you're that famous. But when you're with your family and you're eating, I always just leave him alone. People, would you mind if I said, not right now. If they ask me, I said, he's got his family or they're eating. Maybe on the way out, you want to get a picture or something. And that's usually what Saban was walking out one night with 5 or 6 people, his brother-in-law and people. And there was a guy at the bar with an Alabama hat on. And he doesn't see Saban, and he's walking by, and Nick sees him and taps him on the goes, roll Tide. The guy turns around and goes, roll Tide. Just like that, you do, like go Gators or whatever.
Right. Yeah.
Didn't even think anything of it. And then, literally 2 seconds later, oh! He goes, oh! And he's on the phone with FaceTiming with his daughter who's at Alabama.
I love it.
So Nick hears him go, he goes, Coach. Turns around, he comes back, he goes, my daughter on the phone, she's at Alabama right now. He says, so the guy gets on, and Nick gets on the phone with his daughter, FaceTiming, and she's going, oh my God, Dad, you know who that is? And he goes, yeah, I know who that is. And he goes, roll Tide. And she goes, roll Tide. And, it's this whole thing. And took a quick picture and left. I mean.
Yeah, but that's the biggest thing. Yeah. Everybody, I have a much harsher expression than put their shoes on. Everybody's poop stinks, right? Yeah. And when I have the opportunity, somebody's famous, I pretend I don't know who they are because I really genuinely do not care.
Yeah, I don't either.
You know how much talent is in the world that is never discovered? Like singers, right? This one made it, and 300 that were equally as good did not.
Yeah.
Sports, athletes, whatever it is.
You come in and I don't know you, you're getting treated the same way as Nick and Bill and everybody else. Everybody is a VIP.
Everybody is a somebody.
Everybody is a VIP and it walks in my door, always. And that's been the way I've always thought of it. If you're nice to me and you're nice to my staff, you know, I give people a lot of room, and there's been a lot of not so nice people over the years, and I still give them a lot of rope. But once you go too far, and I've tried to resolve any issue, and you still or use the one bad word or you use the one F word, or there's something comes up, then I'm done with you and you're out. But I give you a lot of room first to get your grievance out. But if some people don't know when to stop or go over the limit, then I turn into not a nice person, and I don't care if you come back because I am HR. You want to call HR? You want to call the owner? Here's my number. I'm telling you right now. It doesn't get any higher. So if you got a problem, you are not coming back here.
It's like that commercial. They say, I want to see HR. He ducks down behind the counter and stands back up. Hi, I'm HR.
Sure. And that was, you had to really do some bad things to get barred from McCarthy's. And there was only probably one hand I can think of how many people weren't asked to come back in 40 years.
So when you finish the chapter of your life at McCarthy's, what is the next chapter?
Yeah, so it's so new. I'm very bored already. It's only been a month. And as somebody that's worked, 6-7 days a week for his whole life off and on, it's hard to just stop. So I'm exploring all kinds of things to do. I'm trying to embrace a little bit of downtime. My girlfriend and I did a little travel. We went up to Boston to a few Red Sox games, which is Red Sox are my favorite team since I was a kid. Got to get out on the field, was in the dugout. I mean, I was 10 years old. I mean, I went out there. The grounds crew were syringing the dirt before the game, and the team was taking infield. I literally walked up behind first base and put my hands in the dirt. I went like this, and the guy syringing the field's going. The older guy, he goes, I get it. He goes, I get it. It's okay. And I go, just don't worry. I get it. And so I've got my Red Sox hat, my Red Sox shirt, the whole thing. It'd been funny if I had my glove too, but I didn't bring my glove. But that was a moment. That was like 3 weeks ago. I'll never forget that. And
it's one of the greatest fields. I'm a Red Sox fan.
Yeah,
and
Fenway.
We were there all
grail.
the time.
It's the Holy Grail, and it's
hand changing the numbers, and there's nothing like it.
So fun, and that was a dream trip for us, and then going up to Marblehead and seeing go to this restaurant that we like to get steamers and a Maine lobster and the little things you do when you're in Boston. And I was born there, but I've lived here in Hobe Sound, Tequesta, since I was 10 or 9. And I don't know what the next chapter, to answer your question, is, but I'm too young to retire, and I'm going to do work or find something to earn. And I made sure that my sister, who with special needs, is taken care of. And I know my parents didn't want me to be financially responsible for her. That was the whole goal. And, what we had put away for her, maybe 6 more years, it would have covered it. I wasn't looking to sell the business at all. But knowing the timeline, and something happens to me driving home today, I don't have to worry that my sister won't be able to stay where she is for the rest of her life now.
Perfect.
So that was the underlying reason for me to sell. Not so much that I didn't enjoy it anymore. Obviously I was getting a little tired, but it was my business and I loved it. But now I know that she will be financially solid and she's going to outlive everybody. She's so healthy. And she's great. So now I'm good. So now I can work and still earn and be productive, but definitely do not want to retire in any way, shape, or form.
I have a cousin, Bobby, who is special needs. He's incredible. Mm-hmm. If you've seen Rain Man, you've met Bobby. Yeah. If he met you one time and he didn't see you for 30 years, he'll tell you what your birth date was. He will say to me, do you remember in 1974, we were at Parker's River, you took me out to catch crabs and you told me a joke and you said and I said and you said and I said. But I couldn't teach him to set nails. I had a flooring company and I took 2 weeks just trying to teach him how to set a nail so I could sand the floors. Couldn't do it. Mm-hmm. He's been bagging groceries since he was 14 years old. But fortunately, my uncle more importantly, my cousin Kathy had the foresight. My uncle did very well. He had a full career at Chevron. And she said, Dad, all the kids have been successful. Put it all in trust for Bobby so he'll be taken care of. So Kathy takes care of Bobby. And if something happens to her, just like,
Yep.
I think as we get older we lose along the way, we become a little bit more of a realist. And
absolutely. And I don't need much to live. I'm very minimalist, and I was worried about that. And I know my parents didn't want me to be responsible. And I said, listen, I will take care of Kathy no matter what after you guys are gone, whatever she needs. And, my parents did well for their lives, and we had some money put away for her. And, things have changed since COVID.
Yeah.
And the price of tuition, and she's in a beautiful school in Lexington, Kentucky. She's been there 33 years now. It's her home.
Yeah.
I bring her home. God forbid I tell her I sold the restaurant. Ooh, so I'm still, when I bring her home, we're going in there. We're going to sit in the same bar stools, and she's going to get whatever she wants, and I'm going to pretend like it's still mine and not say a word, because she would never forgive me. Oh my gosh, she loves to eat, and that's her routine. And so when she comes down, she'll still be going to the restaurant. So even if I'm not in there, I'm going to be in there when she's here, because that's her spot. So.
And you're only a year apart?
Yeah. 14 months.
Okay.
So
it was just it was when you were a kid, there was never animosity because it was just your normal life.
Oh yeah, it's my normal life, and we did everything for
close.
Kathy. Yeah, we're super close, and I babysat her. I took her with me when I got older to high school. She would come to parties with me. I would just bring her. So all my friends, whenever I was there, Kathy was there. So she had my friends were her friends, and everybody looked after her, and it was such a good time. And my parents never had to worry. They could work every night at the restaurant. If I was home, I had Kathy, and she was with me wherever I went. So if I was playing tennis, Barry and I were practicing, she'd be down at the courts with us. If we went to the Soundings pool and we were all there, the whole neighborhood looked after her. There were other girls there. If we had to go somewhere, if I had to go to work, we could leave her with 2 or 3 of the girls in the neighborhood. Babysitter, everybody knew her, so it was like one big family. And even some of the girls from the Baba College that my parents met, some funny stories about that. They weren't so sweet, and
well, they're probably the ones who were mooning.
yeah, and they were the ones that enjoyed it. Put it that way, they were the ones that enjoyed it. No, I mean, not so sweet. They were they shouldn't have been at the Baba College. They had other ulterior motives. But and everybody took care of Kathy, and she was the best, and she still is. I mean, I love her to death. So I'm going to go up and see her soon, and just can't wait to bring her back, because she's the best. The big battle we have with Kathy is where's mom and dad?
Yeah. Oh.
And she just knows when somebody goes to heaven that you don't see them again, and she's only experienced that with our grandparents, and she knows that they're not around. So when I told her, mom had passed away first and then dad a year later, when I brought her home the first time after they were gone, so she says, why are we going to your house? I said, well, you're staying with me now when you come home. Well, why can't I stay at mom's house? I said, well, remember mom and dad went to heaven. And she goes, oh, well, maybe they could come home from heaven while I'm here, see me, and then they can go back to heaven when I go back to school. I go, well, if you can make that happen, I will be on board with that, because I would love that too. There's a lot of people that would love that, Kathy. And she's just how she thinks. She's so sweet. And I said, if you can make that happen, God bless you. I said, that would be great. So it's okay to stay with me. And she goes, yeah, I know, but I'm like, what's wrong with staying with me? She goes, well, it's not the same as, I like staying with mom and dad. You're okay, but, and I'm laughing so hard because she's so serious and sincere. She goes, it's okay, but it's not the same. I said, I get it. I said, the house isn't even there anymore. So the house was sold. And dad's last year, he was living in Tequesta Terrace. He was in the retirement place there. So, she couldn't spend the night there, but she would spend the day over there with them. Then they'd come to the restaurant, and then she'd sleep at my place. But that's the biggest challenge right now, is trying to, when she comes home, she keeps asking, where's mom and dad? Where's mom and dad? So she'll probably always ask that, but
yeah,
we've explained it. I've explained it to her, the school, everybody's told her about heaven, and she knows that when you go to heaven, you just don't see him anymore. So that's the way she justifies it. So What it is, it's life, and Kathy's just the sweetest thing. So you do the best you can to make her comfortable and not stress. Best thing about her is she's no political agenda, no religious agenda. Everything is just nice, happy, love. She gets meals. She has friends. She has people that care about her. She doesn't know anything that's going on in the world that we all think about and deal with every day. It's just, literally, it's cliche, peace, love, and happiness where she lives at that school. And it is beautiful. If we could all live like that, oh my gosh.
It's
phenomenal.
My cousin Bobby,
So
I don't
nice.
think he's 60. I don't think he has a wrinkle.
Yeah,
I have never
exactly.
heard him say a bad thing about a person. He's been tormented. As a bag boy, as a grown man, you have teenage kids that are working in the grocery store. Like, there's been times that some big guy may have gone down there and talked to them because they were being mean to him. But he would never say anything, no matter how hateful or nasty someone
just
was
doesn't
to him.
have it in him.
No, they really don't.
Yeah.
And if you ever want to talk about an old TV show, he knows everyone word for word, and he will share it with you.
Yeah, if you said a bad word to Kathy and she knows what the bad words are, you shouldn't say that. That's not nice. And she just knows, but she would never repeat it.
Should just let you know you
shouldn't say that.
it.
That's not a nice word. Because she's heard it all. But she would never hear her say that word. And it's beautiful, beautiful.
Another thing about the restaurant business that my dad always told me, you have to greet him with a handshake and a Chinaman's bow, because that's, you got to keep your mouth shut. You just got to, what you want to tell them, you can't.
Oh, for sure, Harry, for sure.
And that gets you through it, and then you let it go. You go in the back and then say those, 10 words, in the walk-in.
You go in the walk-in, and you yell or you punch a 50-pound bag of flour or whatever, and you got big ribeyes back there at Top Rounds. You can punch them just like Rocky.
There you go.
But, it's you can't. And like I said, it's hard. It's hard sometimes. And like I said, I give people a lot of rope. And you've got to agree. And if you're right, I'll be the first one to admit it, and I'll take care of it, whatever needed to remedy it. But even if you're not right, I'm going to let you feel like you're right, and I'm going to take it. And but there comes a point if you keep going and you keep on after I've apologized or fixed it, and you attack my staff or you say the wrong word, then you're done. I don't turn nice Brendon is no longer nice Brendon. You're no longer welcome here. So
well, there may be some stories at Harry's where you mess with Harry's staff and you may go fisticuffs right out in the parking lot. That may be true.
Yeah, and that's the other thing. We're family. Everybody, we all look out for each other. And if you're rude to somebody like that and it didn't deserve it, that's in here busting their butt for you, and you're taking it out because you're not happy with something in your life. You're taking it out on one of my servers or my little 16-year-old hostesses, who are the sweetest things in the world. We got a problem.
Yeah.
We will have a big problem.
And nothing shows true character. When I used to recruit in another business, I would take these high-end, very wealthy investment brokers out. I would take them out to dinner, and I would just watch how they treated the servers, because it spoke volumes on what their character was all about. And
absolutely.
They'd be dismissive and rude and not... One of the best things my dad ever taught me was everyone deserves respect.
Yeah.
And I tell the story all the time. In Connecticut, you could not pump your own gas back in the day.
Right.
My dad would get out in the pouring rain in a blizzard, and he would stand and talk to the person pumping the gas. And he would, the kid could be 16 years old. My dad would call him sir, or it could be an 85-year-old guy pumping gas, and he'd say, "Bobby, I don't care if you're pumping septic systems or doing brain surgery. Everyone deserves respect."
Well, if everybody thought like that, wouldn't it be great? It's true. It's so true. Yeah.
But it's easier to talk to somebody pumping gas and septic,
Yeah.
If you're going to choose, you know what?
That's true.
It's tough to lean up against a pump out truck and have a straight face there and go.
Oh, yeah. Whenever Total Septic was coming to do the grease traps, I'd say, come on Monday morning when we're closed at like 6:30 in the morning and nobody's in the shopping center yet. So they would go, Steve and the guys would always come early and have it done before anybody got there, because you'd still 3 hours later, you get a little whiff. It's still in the paint out there in the back. Oh, brutal. Yeah, but it has to be done.
But one of the best things that you said today was that we really need to go out there and reach other people and to be kind to other people, because someone sucked the kind out of mankind, and it sucks. You know, people are so quick to be angry and to scream and to yell. And I was walking through Publix parking lot this morning, and a woman stopped because someone needed to walk. An old woman was walking in front of her car, and the girl behind her came pulling up and laying on her horn. And I was just walking past, and I just stopped, and I turned my head and said, "Are you kidding me right now?" I said, "Can you see the old woman with the cane in front of her car?" And she gave me the finger and spun around the other car and took off.
I know. I mean, what happened up here at Osprey last week?
Oh, I went to get my coffee. I had just left the parking lot. A grandfather trying to get gas in his boat. Yeah. And there was a kid who stopped at the pumps to go in, and the guy just tooted his horn so he could pull up and get gas. So what did he do? He called his brother or his friend, and they came up and beat him with a hammer in front of his granddaughter.
Yeah. Yeah. For no reason. Just that, he's like, hey, when you get gas, pull forward so I can,
And he wasn't even getting gas.
Yeah. Not laying on the horn, just like a toot, they said. And people verified that. And these guys beat him to a pulp. Talk about anger.
Yeah.
Stupidity. I mean, why? What is wrong with that?
But part of it is there's still so many kind people out there. Yeah. But we were the silent majority, right? Yeah. We never say anything. We go to work, we pay our taxes. You don't ask a man how I was raised. You don't ask a man about his politics, his religion, his pay. And we need not to be quite so silent. When we see wrong, we need to step forward, because when you do, there's a whole bunch of other people around you that would like to do that. So when you have that, the difference between a hero and a coward is about 2 seconds. If you can be brave for 2 seconds, all of a sudden I say something and Seth will jump up and say something, and then, Harry'd already be out in the parking lot throwing fists.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. It's very true. Same way. I mean, it's just empathy. Have a little empathy. And there's so many people that don't have empathy for others. If somebody, for any reason, and if I see something that's wrong, I'm to my fault sometimes, not my fault, I'm going to say something, and I'm not going to do it in a bad way. Like, is that really necessary? Or is there another way you could have said that? Or like you say, anything like that. I'm not afraid to say something, because I'm not going to come at anybody aggressively. If I see something wrong, I'm going to kind of calm the situation in a calm way. But like, is that necessary? And that kind of works sometimes. Sometimes it won't. The girl will flick you off and drive around. But I'll stand up for somebody that's can't stand up for themselves if they're in the right. And I've seen it. Like, it happens a lot. It's funny you say that. It happens a lot at Publix. I'm at Publix a lot next door to the restaurant. I was down there 3, 4, 5 times a day, and it's amazing what people say and do to people, and the carts, and just rude.
Yeah, they'll smash right into
so
you.
Rude. Yeah.
And I have changed when people ask me about, you selling the restaurant, I said, listen, it's like an athlete or that, they die twice. Once when they're finished playing or that stuff, or you're a PGA player or whatever, you die because you lose that magic. Well, when you lose your restaurant, you're dying. That's one of your deaths. That's all I'm saying. Yeah. I mean, then people don't, several of them go, well, that makes sense. I says, that's a big part of them. You just don't take that away. You just got to understand you're not thinking about it right.
There comes a time, and nobody, now they might know. You guys just know why my main reason was because of my sister. Yeah. And that was the huge factor. And I could have, I was too young to retire. I'm not going to retire. Yeah. But if somebody asked me, I'm going to say I didn't want to wait till the end if there was an end. Yeah. So a good sports career analogy, like you just said, I want to call myself, I'm like Barry Sanders, if anybody knows football. Yeah. He got out young while he was still healthy, still had his mind, still had his faculties, still had, some money in the bank before he blew it all or ran it into the ground and got hurt and played too long. Then he's got nothing. It was just an opportunity, and it was the right time for a number of reasons. But that's kind of how I looked at it. I said, I Barry Sanders that restaurant. I got out while my mind is right. I'm healthy. I could still I've got 10, 12 more years, 14 more years to work and earn. and be productive and contribute to this great place we live in some way, shape, or form, and let somebody else give it a shot down there. Whether he's doing well or not, it's not my concern. Do I want him to do well? Absolutely. But it would have been a lot better if he changed the name.
Yeah, please change
only
the name.
because he's setting himself up for comparisons to me, and it's not fair to him. Brendon did it this way. As long as it's McCarthy's, they're going to think of me. And it's not fair to him. I mean, he's trying to make it his own, which he should. But I did tell him, I said, you might want to think about just calling it anything else. O'Hara's, you want to keep an Irish pub? Sullivan's, Shenanigans, McShay's, something. But McCarthy's has been around. We've been here 50 years in Tequesta, and we kind of have a thing. And if you should make it your own. It's your business. But if you're going to take away chicken pot pie or rolls and scones or some of those staples, the people are going to come back for this winter and be looking for that. You're going to get a lot of questions.
Yes.
And you're setting yourself up for now you have to answer to a negative. Well, where is it? Why did you take it off? Well, McCarthy's always had that. Well, it's mine now. You don't want to have to keep answering that. Right. I'm just trying to be proactive with this with him. And he's like, no, we want McCarthy's. And well, we're not going to change anything. I'm like, yeah, you are. You should.
Yeah.
And he already has, and it's already kind of lending himself. He's already getting these questions. So you might see it change names, and it would be a good thing for him, I think, at this point.
I think so too.
To change it, just to call it anything but McCarthy's, because it'd be like, if I took over your restaurant and Harry and the Natives, well, I'm not Harry. I'd call it, Larry's. Larry and the Natives, anything. You know what I mean?
Larry and the locals.
You know what I mean? Yeah. But just think about it. So you're not there. I'm not you. You're not me. But everybody's gonna go, well, Harry was good at this, and you're not very good at this. And so trying to be proactive with that. So we'll see what happens. But I want him to do well.
I do too.
So I don't know what the next 10 years or 12 years has in store for me, but I'm going to be a productive member of the.
It's exciting. Exciting.
One way, shape.
You remind me of a fellow that he was older than you, but I was taking a course in New York. I was going for my insurance licenses for my financial advisors, and it was a crew of pretty big hitters. So they brought in this fellow. I can't remember his name. He's long gone now, but he was the top of the insurance industry. It's all he had ever done, and he was a phenomenal power and a phenomenal speaker. And he came in and he taught the class, and it was really cool. And he kept it fun and entertaining. But one thing that always stuck with me, and I wanted to share it with you, he opened it up for questions and answers at the end, and it was really entertaining. And then this one guy in the back raised his hand, and he said, what was your biggest sale ever? What was your greatest accomplishment? And he stopped because he was so quick. He answered everything right as soon as somebody asked. And he just stood there for a minute. And all of a sudden the kid, he was, we were all kind of wise up-and-comers. And he said, what's the matter? You can't remember, old man? And he said, no, actually, I can't remember because I haven't made it yet. And that stuck with me. I was like, that is the coolest dude I ever met. And with your successes and with your life, I'm excited to see what your next chapter is. I really am.
Thank you. Yeah, me too. I am. The possibilities are... The doors are wide open. I mean, I haven't had wide open doors since I was a kid, where you have to choose and you have the possibility. It was probably when I was 18.
20 years old, 19. 18.
And then that door shut when my dad had the heart attack, and that it never reopened. And I was very happy being in that room with those doors closed for 40 years, and now they're back open again. And I'm excited.
I'd like to hear you calling games for a starter.
Oh, gosh, wouldn't I?
I listen to the Dolphins on the radio. I love to listen to the radio.
Those guys are great,
and they make us so entertaining. But so I could definitely see you doing that. You're quick with the word. There's no doubt about it.
Thank you. And that would be my dream job. They wouldn't have to pay me either. Just pay me my gas to get down there.
As I used to tell my dad, he loved being a tool and die maker so much. He says he used to tell us I do this for free. I said, Dad, you have to stop telling me that. It's a corporation. They'll take you up.
Pay me minimum wage.
There you go. Okay.
But I always told a lot of people too, if there was a problem, we would get back to that. And I just thought of this, and I've said this to my son, and I've said this to people that have worked for me or people that I've done business with. I go, don't mistake my kindness for weakness.
One of my favorites.
Isn't it?
Yes, sir.
And don't mistake it because I'm smiling and I'm nice and I don't, I said, don't mistake that for weakness. And I said, I'm a bulldog and I will stand up for what's right and what I believe in and people that work for me. But I'll do it with a smile, but don't make the mistake. And I had this conversation with the new guy, the owner. So, cause he was kind of getting off on something about, I should have, bought this place earlier or something and I could have made it better. And I'm like, listen, you're not going to go down that road. I did pretty well, and now it's yours to do what you want with it. No judging from me. So it's yours. So if you want to ask me my opinion, I'll tell you. I'm not a yes man. I will say, what do I think? I'll tell you. But I'm not going to tell you unless you ask me. And I'll be honest, whether it's good, if I don't think it's good. So I'll tell you. I do have a lot of experience in this business. If you ask me about, any other business, refrigeration or electrical, how to wire a walk-in freezer, I wouldn't know what to do. But if you ask me about this, I said, you might want to listen. Take what you want. It's either yes, okay, Brendon, or no. But I'm not a yes guy, but I'm going to be honest. So that's my 2 cents on that. My dad was kind of the same way.
Yeah,
super generous, super nice, and kind. But
he
looked after his people. He looked after his staff.
Your mom and dad were so loved, and that's the history of it. That's why I wanted to have you on. But,
their loyalty.
But
their loyalty to their staff, and it's still coming back to me years later from people that worked for them when they were kids, and now they're grandparents. And like your parents were the nicest people to us when I was a kid, and gave me my first job, and I didn't have enough money. They loaned me money, and I paid them back, and it was just. The stories are great. I love hearing that. And a lot of the stuff I never knew happened. No. Never knew. And so it's good. It's really makes me proud.
All right. So if you're out there, everyone has a story, and there's people out there that need to hear your story. So please reach out so we can have you on. Yes. And Brendon, we're definitely going to have you back when you land. Sure. I have no doubt. One thing that I know that we didn't even talk about it, but if you do what you love, you never have to go to work. And it comes through that you've already done it. And just like all those stories about your mom and dad, the people that work for them, I guarantee you there's probably even more stories about you from what you've done in your history.
That's nice. I hope so. That's nice.
I agree. Love it.
We appreciate you being on here and taking the time on a Saturday.
Yes.
Great to be with you.
Thank you. Hello, we're recorded from Harry and the Natives restaurant in Hope Sound, Florida. It's a family restaurant. My family's run it 73 years. It's an 85-year-old restaurant, and just come and see us sometimes. Thank you. This is Bob.
And we're upstairs in the Tiki Hut, so you can come in, and we'd love to have you come up and tell your story. I'm with O'Donnell Impact Windows and Storm Protection, and we do, I know it sounds confusing, but we do impact windows and storm protection. And our slogan is, and please remember at O'Donnell, it's our family protecting your family. So I promise you, if you use us, we'll never embarrass you. If you refer us, we'll never embarrass you. We get the job done right. Thanks for listening.
Thank you.